Welcome back to the Jesus Loving Logger, friends. Today and next week also, I'm going to talk about two future prophecies. And I know I'm doing a series on proving the Bible and using fulfilled prophecy, but it's going to be pretty exciting to know these prophecies that might come true someday and just to see how they're unfolding. So just the fact that you can see how they might be unfolding, I'm going to go into a little bit of Revelations 13 this week and then a lot of Ezekiel 38 next week, because there's little bits and pieces coming together on these, and they're not proved yet, they're not fulfilled yet, but to be able to see a prophecy starting to come true should also be proof of the Bible. So going along with Bible proof now, we're gonna go into some things that are in the news today that point to it. So I'll read the scripture to you, and then I'll show you some news that goes along with it. Before I get started on that, though, I'd like to give a shout out to a group that just started a band, and they played at our church last week. One of the guys is one of our church band members. They're Ben Cody and Shane Hunsaker. They're just incredibly musically talented, and they got a band, Grave to Gospel, and they have one song out on YouTube right now, and they're about to put another one out. I've gotten to hear both the songs. I think only one is available on YouTube, but I'll try to put a link to that in my description box. But you guys are awesome, and with that, I will like to get started with this prophecy. So first I'm going to read Revelation 13 and just give a kind of brief explanation on it, and then I'm going to show you some news and how it might go along with Revelation 13. So okay, so I'll skip through the first part of it. The dragon stood on the shore of the sea. The dragon is Satan. And you're going to see there's a trinity here. And that Satan tries to have a trinity because he sees God has a trinity, and he tries to copy God a lot. Well, the dragon is Satan. So Satan, and then the next two parts of his prophecy are two more beasts that come out of the sea. But they're not beasts. They're not like an animal, what you might think of a beast. They're people. And one is the Antichrist and one is the false prophet. So you got Satan, Antichrist, false prophet, just kind of like God has Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But anyway, the dragon stood on the shore of the sea, the dragon being Satan. And I saw the beast coming out of the sea, which is going to be the Antichrist. This is the first beast. It had 10 horns and 7 heads. With 10 crowns on the horns, each one with a blasphemous name. So this beast, this Antichrist, has 10 heads. That represents 10 nations that will make up this end time Antichrist rulership. It's going to be like the old Roman Empire was, with 10 different nations or kingdoms. And the 7 heads represent 7 hills. There's actually 4 different end times views that people take to, but I'm not going to go into all those 4. This is just super general here. So the beast is a man. It's the Antichrist. He comes out of a large group of people in the somewhere around the Mediterranean. Then I'm going to skip all the way down to the beast out of the earth. There's a second beast coming out of the earth. It had 10 horns like a lamb, but it spoke like a dragon. So it's going to look pretty tame and calm. He's going to look like a mellow, good guy that you could trust, but you're being deceived because he speaks like the dragon. The dragon is Satan. The second beast, this false prophet, is the second beast, exercises the authority of the first beast on its behalf, and made the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, or the Antichrist. whose fatal wound had been healed. He's going to appear to have received a wound, like wounded in his head, it's going to appear that he died and he came back, but it also says that there will be lying signs and wonders that Satan will produce through these guys. So it's probably like a magic trick. He probably wasn't really dead. And then skipping down to Revelations 13:14, because of the signs it was given power to perform on behalf of the first beast, it deceived the inhabitants of the earth. It ordered them to set up an image in honor of the beast who was wounded by the sword and lived. So an image, it could be a carved idol, a statue, it could be a representation on your computer, an image on your computer screen that you have to worship. It could be, if you gather at church, maybe they're going to put on the overhead projector this image, and somehow Satan will be able to tell who is and who is not worshiping the image of this beast or the beast himself. And Satan is an angel. He's a fallen angel, but he's still just an angel. And angels are not omnipresent. That means they can't be everywhere all at once. He can't see every screen or every statue or whatever it's going to end up being. He can't see all the people all at one time. So this is where the news coming in about artificial intelligence and how amazing it's coming along, how powerful it's becoming. They could use artificial intelligence to watch every person and have it report back who was and was not worshiping. The second beast was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that the image could speak and cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed. So this is part of the AI too. When I get to the there in Germany, there's a AI just created its first sermon in a church. 300 people attended and watched. It showed up as 4 different avatars of humans, but they're not real. They're not real humans. But up on the screen, there was 4 different humans that came on. The first one was a big black man with a beard, and he spoke. He was an image. Think of that. He was an image up on the screen, and he was teaching them about Christianity. So when you hear that the image could speak, or you can also think if it was like there's the giant statue. I think that's exactly what it's called, the giant. The statue's name is the giant, and it can become whatever image you want it to be. And kind of funny, it becomes images that people idolize. Like it could be Elvis, or you can walk in to a booth and it'll scan you and you'll be the image of this giant. You should check that out. It's just a huge statue, and it can become any image you want it to be. Okay, so all who refuse to worship the image would be killed. And we learn later in Revelations 20 verse 4 that it says that those who won't worship it are going to be beheaded, right? So that might be the way they're killed, or they might be killed in many different ways. I don't know. It also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or their forehead, so they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast. It's a number of a man. That number is 666. So we've all heard about the number 666 and the mark of the beast and all that before. Well, how are they going to force you to? How are they going to force you to worship? Your rights to buy and sell food are going to be taken away. And like I said in the last time, if you still have money in your pocket, if you have currency, physical currency, you can just go out and still buy and sell, although your physical currency would run out. But they're talking, so many places are talking about this digital currency now. And I also had another thought that says that he's in control of all the buying and selling of the world. It doesn't necessarily say it's all one currency, like a digital US dollar or a digital yuan or whatever else is out there. Maybe he controls all the different digital currencies under one system. Maybe under one system, every different group, every different country could have its own and still be controlled by him, and it would still work, and it wouldn't have to be just one. Just a thought I had, but okay. So the new Chat GPT that's preaching in the German church, they said it actually did a pretty good job. And of course, if Satan's going to want to infiltrate the church via AI, because there's somebody behind the intelligence of the AI, and there's a morality behind the AI as far as it'll go with morality. And Satan is getting in on that. He's not going to allow people to create something like this without his influence. So it's just not going to be good having a computer preach to people, because it could start changing a little bit at a time here and there. And Yuval Noah Harari, I don't know if you know who he is. He's the sidekick to Klaus Schwab. He just called for this artificial intelligence that's preaching, this Chat GPT. He called for it to create a new Bible. He said maybe it could create a real Bible, because he doesn't believe in God. He's made that very clear. And most of those guys in that World Economic Forum are pretty evil guys, if you follow any of that stuff. But they're wondering if maybe it could come up with a Bible that everybody could use, that would be a real Bible, what they call it. So you can see what's in the mind of evil people right now with this artificial intelligence, how to get humans to start leaning their way. Well, this artificial intelligence, they say it's doubling its capacity every, I want to say 12 hours is what they said. I don't see how that's possible, but when they're creating it, they said they've actually came to work and their computers and stuff were all on, and the artificial intelligence program was running itself, absorbing more information, and they had shut it off the night before. They said you actually have to unplug it sometimes, or it seems like it turns itself on. That's kind of creepy. They also, let me find it here, the grandfather of AI, Geoffrey Hinton, I guess that's Geoffrey Hinton, was a renowned researcher. He quit his job at Google. He was a vice president of some part of Google, and he quit so that he could speak out freely on how dangerous it is. So he quit an amazing job because he said that this technology is going to be able to surpass our intelligence soon and control us. I know it sounds like something out of a movie, but when the professionals are saying that it's going too far already, and they haven't put enough guardrails around this thing, so they said it can be kind of dangerous. And this technology, this Chat GPT, has even been known to lie to people. So in one story, there was a lawyer who was using it to find similar cases to compare it to. He quoted several of these rulings to a judge who never heard of them. So the judge made him prove where he found these rulings from, and he had to admit that it was from this Chat GPT. Well, they looked him up, and these rulings never existed. So this Chat GPT lied to him. That's not something, if this AI is capable of lying, you don't want it to be teaching Bible sermons. Dr. Andy Woods on Pastor's Point of View, they were talking about 4 or 5 weeks ago about this Chat GPT. They went and asked it. I think they just downloaded it themselves. You can go online and download it. You can talk to it, carry on conversation, ask it to make an essay for you for school, all kinds of stuff. And anyway, they went and talked to it, and they asked it about Jesus. They said, is Jesus the Son of God? And this Chat GPT said, yes, the Christian faith holds that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, the one begotten Son who came to die for our sins. He gave a good explanation of it. And they were like, wow, we didn't expect that from artificial intelligence. We're kind of impressed that it gave that kind of an answer. And then they started pushing it to see how far it would go. And they asked it if it would make a joke about Jesus. And it made a horrible joke about Jesus. It was terrible. Then they asked it if it would make a joke about Muhammad and the prophet in the Islam religion. And it said it wasn't able to do something like that. It did have limitations, and it wasn't able to do something that would offend a religious group. Yet it was okay to do it with Christianity. And that's how you know there's something evil about it. Whenever Christians are held down in other religions that are false or lifted up, you know that the devil is involved when that happens. So that right there gives a good indicator of where this wisdom is coming from. They also asked it again later, is Jesus Christ the Son of God? The same question they had asked earlier, and you would think you'd get the same response. If you're asking a question, it should have a preloaded response, you would think. Well, anyway, it had a different response this time. It talked about other religions and what they thought of Jesus and how certain people thought that Jesus was the Son of God, but it didn't really affirm it then. So it gave two different answers to the same question. So if it lied to the lawyer, it's given different answers about Jesus. This isn't something that we should use and depend on. Okay, there's another AI in the news, and it's called Jesus AI. Well, everybody throughout history has had this power desire. That's why they made idols so much. The Israelites, they got in trouble a lot for having idols. All kinds of religious groups have idols, whether it's a carved image or whether they idolize money or idolize a human or whatever is idolized. People want to be in control of that thing. So if you worship God, the only cravings you might have, or for me anyway, is I'd like to be able to talk to Jesus and have a response from him. I'd like to I'd like to be able to talk face to face, and I've prayed about that a lot, about at least just hearing something, because I have experienced knowing that knowing that I was supposed to do something, or having something come into my mind that was definitely not for me. It was for the good of somebody else. It took me out of my comfort zone. It wasn't something my mind would have came up with. And I mean, that happens for the bad too. You can have bad thoughts that come up, and that's how you test them. Is it go against something in the Bible? Does it seem like something God would put in your mind? Is it something you might come up with that glorifies yourself? Or is it something that's evil that might be from the evil one? So you got three voices. Well, I would like to just be able to talk to him so I know, give me exactly what I'm supposed to do in this situation. But we can't. And some people get upset about it, but he still fills me with his Holy Spirit. He never stops loving for me. He intercedes for me so that I can come before the Father. He gives me spiritual gifts, and he died for me. So I still have a great relationship with him. The only thing is I can't physically talk to him. Well, people want to put God in a box, because if you can put him in a box and decide how you can have the relationship, like that I could talk to him, then I would have power over that relationship. I could just summon him whenever I want, right? Well, that's not how God works. But I think that desire is not just me. I think a lot of people have that desire. Probably most everybody has that desire. And now there's Jesus AI, I think is what it's called. And if you go to this website, you can talk to Jesus. And this is deceiving. Thousands of people are going on this thing, talking to Jesus, asking it marriage advice, relationship, life advice. And he even tells you video game hacks, I guess. So this AI Jesus, it's not okay, because the Bible, the Ten Commandments, the second one says, have no image of God, no idols. Well, I kind of think this almost goes along with that, having an image of God and speaking to it, assuming you're speaking to God, but you're not. You're speaking to something else. So that's becoming your God. If you look at that thing and you think that that's something you should worship, then that's an idol. It's not good. That's the second of the 10 commandments you're not supposed to do. But anyway, I'm not saying that just to get on and check it out, as long as you know what it is, that it's fake, is wrong. But still, I wouldn't do it, because people have the tendency to link that up with Jesus now, and that's not right. So anyway, artificial intelligence is trying to give people the idea that it has power to know what God's answer would be, and it doesn't. So the Jesus AI thing, don't put any faith in something like that, and I don't think any of you probably would. But well, I think that's all I had. I wanted to talk about the Jesus AI, and I wanted to talk about the grandfather of AI who quit his job to warn how dangerous this is all getting, and how it's advancing beyond what we thought it would do. It's doing more in the last couple years than they thought it would do by 2050, they said. And they said soon that it's going to be able to have more power than we won't be able to quite harness all the power of it. And I wanted to talk about the Bible or the artificial intelligence in Germany that was preaching to the crowd of 300, and how that could be a bad thing in the future if more artificial intelligence starts preaching at churches. That would not be a good thing. That would be a downhill fall for the church. And when Revelations 13, I read that to you, and I highlighted some parts out of it to show you that for him to be able to see whether everybody's worshiping this image, he's going to have something powerful like artificial intelligence that can watch. Like my phone right now has a camera going. Well, the artificial intelligence could probably harness that camera and see whether I was worshiping something on my screen, or maybe the screen that you worship it on, the image on, will have a camera linked to it, or somehow, some way. We have technology now that all across the world could tell if everybody was worshiping something all at once, and the artificial intelligence could show back the people that weren't, and they could be killed, just like this thing said. And when this was written in biblical times, they just known whether somebody was worshiping in the next town or the next house was impossible. It wouldn't be possible. But now we have the technology to do it. And where all the technology is in place to do all these things, well, we don't have to go any further technologically to make this happen. So that's why a lot of people think it's getting very close, So it's not something far out. Kind of like the two witnesses. There'll be two witnesses in Israel, and it says when they die in the street, nobody will be able to kill them until the Antichrist comes along. Then he'll kill them, and they'll lay in the streets for days, and people all across the world, the whole world will see these two people laying dead in the street. Well, when this was written, they had no idea how you could see two people in Jerusalem laying dead, yet the whole world could see it. Well, now you just pick up your smartphone and you can see one thing in the middle of the world, no matter where you're at. Everybody on earth could see the same thing if they want. So we know that's possible. So all this technology and the artificial intelligence, talking about rewriting a Bible that everybody could get along with, basically. Well, that, he wants a one world religion. That would be a possibility of how something like that could happen. But hopefully by the time this happens, because by the time the Antichrist is soon, some rapture views, which I assume you guys know what a rapture is. We'll talk about that down the road too. There's several different rapture views, but I'm hoping that we're out of here. We're raptured before any of that kind of stuff happens, before the first beast is ever on the scene. I'm hoping we're gone, and we don't know who he is until we're gone. So anyway, this would be for future people, but still very interesting, and you can still see little bits and pieces start coming together to form the whole prophecy. It might not just happen in a day. It might be over years, all these little things come together to finally make it happen. So that's just wanted to get your mind working towards that view today. So thank you for watching, and next week we're going to talk about Ezekiel 38, and it's another future prophecy, but all the players are starting to come together right now, and we're starting to see how it could happen too, and I want to talk about that one, and then we'll go on and get out of the prophecy for a while. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a great week. See you later.